through the eyes of a pro gamer. Not just any pro gamer, but the Finnish phenom. The best player, not just outside of Korea, but the best StarCraft 2 player in the whole world. It's Serral. And now this isn't a normal cast, normal game, anything like that. We're just watching essentially the Serral cam, which even I struggle with keeping up with. We're going to have the production tab, the supplies, just basic stuff to make it easier for us to keep up as mere mortals with a god like Serral. And this is versus Rogue from the WCS 2018 Global Finals semifinals, the round of 4. And this is game 4. Just for some context, Serral is up 2-1 as this match starts. And the only game that Rogue won, Serral tried an early Ling all-in, and Rogue barely held. The other games look pretty convincing for Serral. So Rogue has to put it all on the line. Now, the first thing, and for the first few minutes, we can actually talk about strategy and tactics, and then the game will just take off. It'll be almost impossible to talk more about long-term without how much is happening. But the big thing I notice, and I think anyone who watches Serral notices, is not necessarily his APM, which is already super high all the time, especially by the end it'll easily be 400, 450. But the screens per minute, the actual amount of times his screen changes to another part of the map, or just finds a different thing to do, essentially. The amount of places, the effective actions per minute, the amount of things he's able to do in so short a time, well, that's why he's the best, right? Like, but I struggle how fast he injects, microing links. His lings always seem to get in, but he doesn't miss a beat at home. Now this is Zerg versus Zerg, where a split second of micro can kind of decide things. We do see, right off the bat, pulling off a gas, circling speed. There's nothing here. This match does start out pretty standard in the sense of we both get hatched first, some drones, maybe a little bit of a Ling Bane dance. But there's a lot more to it. If you're watching this in video form, you'll see it's longer than a 10-minute video, which is a more typical ZVZ. And if you're watching it live, well, you're watching me watch a game that I watched live. So we've all got the trickle-down Serral here. You can check out the WCS Global Finals replay pack they release after the event as well. But just to start out, Serral has put his overlords in place. He's got them in position to see lings coming out, but not be vulnerable to queens. He's just keeping them as close as he can to any high ground areas or places that queens won't be pushed away, but also making sure he has perfect vision. Right now, Rogue cannot get lings out of his base without Serral seeing it. That's just how it is. And that's very important in Zerg versus Zerg when 20 Zerglings can show up and win the game. We do have, by the way, in-game, players do not see the Zergling icon or the Queen icon. That's part of the observer overlay they use for WCS. So that's why. That might be a cool option to have, like, see what your eggs are building. You can always click on them, but
game is alive and kicking.
It takes extra time. Not that Serral doesn't know what's building, but for me, a bad player. Evo Chamber's on the way. Lost and Found is a larger map with a lot of choke points, so Ling Bane, it's not really realistic to commit to Ling Bane. Well, you're relying on them making a mistake. And, well, for one, this is Serral and Rogue. And two, it's just the logistics of it don't make it worth it most of the time. That's why we already see +1 ranged attack on the way. Actually, I need to change the colors a little bit, make it a little bit more obvious. Serral is in the purple. These colors are confusing. Okay, in the purple. In the purple. I'm being dumb. I can't read, and I'm colorblind, apparently. I'm actually going to make it a little easier for me here. Immersion ruined! A lot of contrast now. So the layer coming up quick, Serral. A group of lings. You have to make these lings essentially because if he makes a group of lings, it's kind of like a Cold War. How did these lings get in? There were 2 queens, Banes. He sees the layer morphing. He sees the gas. He also gets a beat on how much gas is at the net as well. He's going for roaches. Serral with 1 Zergling slipping by a dozen of Rogue's units now has the information that Rogue isn't going for like quick mutas. He's not going for a big all-in, anything like that. It's not happening. Overlord speed on the way for both sides. Scouting how much players are committing to drones and how much they're committing to lair tech is very important, because some players, even if they do get a lair, will be going for a quick Roach speed timing. Other players might be focused on just playing defensive, going for macro, stuff like that. So at this level, you'll see a big focus on that Overlord speed, because getting those little bits of information is easier than in other matchups, because there's not that much anti-air early on. There's not Marines, there's not Stalkers, but at the same time, it's a lower economy game. You just don't really have as many drones. Well, we do now. We've made it to this point, but it's riskier to make drones early if you don't have the information. A macro hat scouted out. Rogue is also going for Roach speed in 1-1. Serral finds a changeling. And this is kind of where we're deciding, are we going to attack with Roaches? Can I get another round of tack? And one of the things I've never seen, at least not this often, Overlord drops. Both of them going for Overlord drops at the same time. So that indicates, like, either they both came up with it on the spot, like this is a good move, or this is just something that happens at this tier of Zerg versus Zerg. It's actually going to be Baneling drops here for Serral. I'm not sure what's in Rogue's Overlord, but he also just built a Dropper Lord as well. Yeah, the vision, just look at the mini-map right now. Serral maintaining vision of everything. Rogue doing a pretty good job of the same. But it does seem that literally there's no way to move out without Serral seeing it. He is the Overmind. He sees all. Overlord drop coming in. And Serral just gets his 4th base. I think he's starting to feel like, well, getting Ravagers to gun down Overlords and all that. Looking for an opportunity. And now once this is where Serral really shines, is once you have anything. You might be like, well, he just has a few Roaches and Lings. He somehow finds a way to be doing multiple useful things at once with barely any units. Hydra Den in the back. Ravagers coming up, looking for a snipe. Ling scouting through. Baneling drop, still looking for an opportunity. Gets in, sees Ravagers morphing, which indicates it's probably not a quick muta switch because Ravagers are really expensive on the gas. Brew move's actually coming up for Rogue. If Serral's able to see the... Oh, that was it. That was the scout right there. He saw the Ravagers. He's like, I don't need spore crawlers. I need minerals. I need more Roaches. The Roach Ravager coming across from Rogue. Serral realizing he needs I think he sees the Hydra Den there. I believe that was the Hydra Den as well. So Serral knows this isn't all in, but it's definitely pressure he has to take seriously. And it indicates that Rogue... Oh, that reaction time as well on the Baneling drop. He doesn't know how many Banelings dropped out. At least 1, but there could be 3 more. So you got to be a little careful about that. Serral trying with the Baneling drop, but there were enough queens to box it out. And now, we've kind of... The Roach phase has to end, really. Once both players are pretty close to 200 supply at these economies, they're just looking for a better position to get tech. Like, Serral's going for... He got his +2 contaminated by Rogue, which slows it down. The burrow move is revealed. You can see there's an indicator on the Roaches. They grow, like, extra horns on the top. I don't know. You can tell the difference between a burrow move Roach and a non-burrow move Roach, and that's very important to be able to see, kind of like wings growing out of a Zergling. Alright, Overseers all across the board. Some Spine Crawlers as well, just to hold it down. Very annoying to deal with these Roaches, but if you just hold a few units in each base, it's kind of like dealing with medevac drops a lot of the time. Alright, Serral. Rogue hasn't made any attempt to get rid of the vision. I mean, there's just nothing that kills Overlords with speed consistently. Not even close. That Roach slips under the last bow without getting hit. Roach is on the right side. Serral's already ready. Serral in the main as well. The Roach is very annoying, but have yet to do any real damage. He's already able to block out the attack on the right at the 3rd. Rogue is in full retreat. Serral knows this. He has time to tech up. Lurker Den. Hydroless Speed. Infestation Pit. All on the way. Another base. This is Serral taking advantage. He has map control. He has the tech on the way, so he can continue to expand. He's not trying to look for a way to kill Rogue. He's looking for the higher percentage play. He's getting some more tech, has some Roaches on the map, but why commit everything to a single attack if you could gain little leads over and over and over to secure a victory? Now on the left side, if either player undercommits, well, it's especially bad for Rogue because we're knocking on his front door. But if either player undercommits to these attacks, then they just lose. The momentum of the Roaches carries them through. Even if you have the money, if they're on your hatcheries, then you can never get enough Roaches together that actually hold. So you have to be very careful and on top of it. And neither player, once again, has Hydralisks. So that means pretty much perfect vision for both sides, at least against any attacks coming towards the base. I'm not sure, is that a Baneling drop in there? I believe it's the one from earlier. Roach is going in on both sides. Serral actually has time to pop a Baneling out of the Overlord before he gets hit with Crow's About. Scouts the Lurkers. Finds some Roaches at the front. Still a lot of Ravagers. Those are vulnerable. He can just go right past it, and he does. Some Corrosive Biles hit. In come the Lurkers, though. That's going to force a slight retreat. It takes 4 Corrosive Biles to kill a Lurker, so they can't just be gunned down super easily, and you can micro out of it. But at the same time, Serral has Roaches going in towards the main. They're going to find Queens. They're going to delay some of the production. The base is under fire, isolated, and the Lurkers cannot get there in time. Lurker burrow move on the way. Now, I actually slowed down. There's still a lot going on, but with the Lurkers, Serral doesn't have the end game yet. He can't, unless the Lurkers are literally unburrowed, he's not fighting directly. Whereas Rogue on the other side is opting for a Nidus network. He realizes he's down on economy. He has to find a place where Serral is out of position, or he's forced to defend, so he can move his own army into position. So the Nidus, a smart choice for that. Expensive, but smart. Oh, a big catch on the right side. Or on the left side. Whatever side this is. As he's going to chase it down. The pincer attack. The Lurkers are already there. The Roaches are not going home. Trying to find an angle, but Serral will cut them all off. Loses a queen. And actually able to split off some Roaches. This is a lot of time spent. This is a lot of attention from Serral looking at these Roaches here and keeping them off the map. So Rogue has done a great job in buying himself a lot of space. Now, the thing is, while he's bought space, Serral hasn't really lost any units. He hasn't lost much of his economy. He is building up a bank. And as time goes on, if he keeps these bases alive, Serral doesn't need to be cost effective. It doesn't matter if he keeps going back home. If eventually he has units and Rogue does not, that's how games end. Oh, a Changeling blocked by Rogue. Coming in with the Corrosive Biles. That's a lot of Lurkers there. This is an incredible angle. He has to try to get up the ramp. Just barely has enough to get up the ramp. That can turn so quickly, but the splits were there. The Corrosive Biles helped out Rogue. Didn't really micro the Lurkers away from it. Looks like Serral should be able to clean up his own main base, but the Nidus hurt. There's a thorn in the side. But still not critical damage to Serral. 31 Hydras on the way. Plus 3 attack. 2 Vipers. We're at that stage of the game. It used to be, for a little while, Broodlords were common. But Vipers can kind of just counter Broodlords with good micro. You just pull them into your Hydras. And then Broodlords are dead. Don't even talk to me about Ultralists. They require melee attack upgrades, and Lurkers shred them. Roach Hydra isn't bad against Ultras either. They do a lot of damage per hit, so the armor doesn't apply as much. But Vipers for both sides. Now Serral has an army that can win the game. He has Roach Hydra, Lurker, Viper. He has all the tools. He's adding... Is that another spawning pool? I mean, just in case. He doesn't need to. He's under no obligation to commit his army to an attack, but there's nothing attacking him on his side. He burrows Lurkers in order to be able to kill Changelings more quickly. You know, that usual strat people do. And now here's the thing. Serral, the Bronze League hero, redefining the meta. The most important thing, obviously. He's building another lair. Now, I originally thought this was because, he thought he was going to lose his main, so he's restarting his tech. But he ends up doing it multiple times. He ends up with, like, multiple hives and lairs by the end of the game. If you don't know, getting a lair gains 500 HP and +1 armor. Which, I mean, that's more for the Vipers to consume, and it makes it harder to kill. So I guess we are doing it now. We're making extra lairs. We're making extra spawning pools, because why rely on a single building that is relatively cheap, potentially lose you the game? How many games have you seen where a player loses their only hive or their only lair? It's like, oh, I guess they can't get detection now. This seems like an oversight. And they end up losing 500, 600, 700 minerals worth of units instead of just simply already having one. And part of this, well, Serral right now, he's just putting out fires. But once they're out, then Rogue has really nothing left. He's spending so much money. The unit's lost. Rogue has lost 7,000 more resources in these exchanges. If that keeps up, I mean, eventually you win the game. Because you run out of money, you run out of bases. The cost efficiency is just too high. And we're getting to the stage of the game where you can actually start really mining out in ZVZ. It's pretty rare. It's extremely... It's probably the least common matchup you ever see getting close to mining out. Maybe there's 1 or 2 maps that are more defensive, but here we go. The Nidus in the back is dealt with. Rogue moving over to the right. Serral has a group of roaches ready, poised to burrow in and strike. It's not clear how much Rogue has back at home. He knows he's out of vision range for this split second here, so the roaches are burrowed and not scouted as of yet. A bit of an oversight maybe by Rogue, not sending out more overseers to be looking for, and there's the second hive. There it is. Like, he's going to have 2 hives. Maybe he's thinking, maybe I'll lose the main to a Nidus at some point and not have to be committed. That's a very dead roach. A lot of burrowing on both sides. Serral, I'm going to actually take the camera for a split second. Yep, overseers. Patrolling around on oversight mode for a little bit of extra vision. Are there roaches in the main? What is happening? I think those are all changelings. He has like 9 overseers. They're changelings all over the map. Near perfect vision. And Nidus in the main. Serral doesn't have that much committed. I don't think he sees it now. Like, did he see it that fast? Oh, what a silly question. Sending units back. Because it could have been an overlord. On the minimap, you don't know until you see it. At the same time, Rogue looking for an opportunity. Serral turns the tides and pulls the lurkers in. Another Nidus on the right, or maybe a couple lurkers there. Serral has to find a way to deal with that. Rogue loses 4 drones. Rogue loses 4 drones. I believe Serral has a handful of roaches over at that 4th base location. The lurker den under fire from some unfriendly lurkers. Another lurker den gonna be rebuilt. I'm not sure. It looks like the lurker den actually went down. So a bit of downtime here, but Rogue has finally found an opening where Serral wasn't really in position in time. A bit of a mistake burrowing those Hydralisks here, but this base should be going down. He can't actually engage this position. More lurkers in the main. A couple out from the Nidus, just a couple in the back of the mineral line. Some harassment, but really difficult to dislodge without paying close attention. We're not just talking about units lost, resources lost. The amount of attention, it's a resource. The reason Serral is so good is he just has more resources than other players, even when he isn't being as cost-effective, because he seems to have more attention to spare. And right now that's paying off, and all these attacks being deflected. Like, if a few lurkers get into the main, start gutting the tech, you run up a ramp into it, it's going to go very poorly. But he keeps blocking them out before they can get too close to doing critical damage. More changelings being killed off. 9 drones now. I don't actually know what the drones are being killed by. Serral has been killing drones without even trying. That's what's happening now. Or maybe those were Serral's drones. I'm not exactly sure. The colors are a little mixed up. Oh, those were Rogue's drones. We'll see in a second. More roaches coming in. The lurker's looking to defend. A tiny, tiny bit of miss micro there. Another Nidus on the way. Pops up in the main, but Serral is already ready. He's committed 10 roaches and a lurker, which is a heavy price, but it's just so dangerous to potentially be in the main. Another Nidus? No? That's a changeling. Some overseers. Serral was concerned as well. There's already some lurkers in position over there. A very potent army at the front. He can pull the lurkers in. The eggs, well, you want to get the ones that are in the ground because he can cancel the ones that are still eggs. More Vipers coming up in the beautiful exchange of the Viper yoinks. This is peak StarCraft. Serral actually gets all the Vipers. He had more energy. He was able to outlast him. It's actually a case of who just has more Vipers, because you're gonna win the switch up trade. But Rogue still has plenty of bases. Serral is starting to be slightly limited. They're finally the lurker over there gets. Nope, he's gonna send another. He's gonna send another drone down. A lurker has been there for so long, looking to stop that base. Nope, he's like, oh god, how many is that? It appears that's actually Serral's drones killed there. So the color's a little mixed up, but... So I wasn't a crazy... Wow! It just disappeared! That's the lurker burrow speed upgrade there. They dunk their heads into the ground so incredibly fast, and they move faster in general. So digging claws. Oh, bit of a missed micro by Rogue. He's able to get one lurker down, but no spines will be coming out. Somehow Serral still has not dealt with the lurker on the left side. You can see him going back to it. This is not something you see pro players usually have to do, is go back to the same location over and over and still keep making the same mistake. But that's actually a point where the attention resource isn't quite there to do that on top of everything else and feel like you're spending enough time on your army. Attack on the left side. Somehow Rogue has actually kind of been just walking out, and Serral doesn't have vision of that location, so he's going to be forced to pull back. Roach Hydra is okay against lurkers. Not incredible. The upgrades are good. Nidus in the main. Serral sends some roaches back. It's a single lurker here, but nothing coming out of the Nidus quite yet. Serral looking for an opportunity. And this is a sign of some of the best players out there. A lot of players would be halfway across the map, get attacked, be like, I guess we're base trading. Serral, if I have my drones, if I have my bases, there's something to go back for. Will he be able to take that base? Oh my god, not again. Watch closely on the left. Is the lurker still there? Oh my god, it is. It is! Finally, Serral has units in position to deal with this. There's a lurker on the opposite side as well. In Serral's third base, he's starting to crumble a little bit. Dealing with these lurkers has taken quite a toll on him. And that's forced him off the map, which means that Rogue... Well, he knew where Serral's army was, and Serral didn't know where Rogue was coming in. Another lair. He's going up to a second. Yeah, it's for the HP. It's a real strat. The lair at every base. More armor, more HP. Why wouldn't you do it? In 2010, everybody thought it was a good idea, and then everybody collectively was like, no, we play perfect. Never lose our lair. No, we're doing it. More lurkers coming in. Rogue in kind of a dicey scenario. Serral's got some units to the south as well. He's spending his time looking at this fight. And it's definitely going to pay off. Get some yanks on the lurkers. Some of his Vipers go down, but if there are no lurkers, it's not a big concern. A couple blinding clouds in the right spot can definitely turn the tides. Now, Rogue is still maxed out, but the gas bank. The gas bank is what really matters here. It's still a tough position to break. It almost feels like he's rapid-firing the Abduct. He might be using the rapid-fire on the Abduct ability. I'm not sure. But Serral's actually losing his location to the right. A lot of his tech is still committed. He's already rebuilding another lurker den. I think that's number 3 this game, even though he hasn't... He's expecting there's a chance he loses this position. But if he does, he doesn't lose the game. He has another lair. He has another hive. He has another lurker den. A handful of lurkers going up towards the north. Defensively, it looks like. Serral has mined most of the gas and many of the minerals out of the third base location, so it's not a big deal he lost that. It was mostly there for a bit more of a placeholder. Some lurkers flanking in, but Serral takes his own pound of flesh and yanks a few more lurkers forward. Oh, the blinding cloud is late. Where's the blinding cloud? Rogue misses the blinding cloud. If he had blinding clouds on top of that, he cleans it up, but he loses so many roaches and hydras. A significant mistake there. He needed that. Oh, that was a lot of supply. And things like that means that Serral can now, once he cleans up a few little counterattacks, go on the offensive. He has the Vipers on the field. He lost a handful of lurkers, but it takes time to build Roach Hydra. And that mistake, I think, with the Blinding Cloud, essentially has given up this base to Serral. He even uses a Blinding Cloud to stop the spores and spines for a split second. But just the time it takes to reinforce. Why are there lurkers here? Serral doesn't know, but he's going to clean them up. More coming down. Serral's kind of solidifying his position. Rogue is... I mean, he's got 600 gas against 3,900. Serral has been about... Oh, God, math. About 30% more cost-effective. Unfortunately, don't have the minerals and gas tab on this overlay, but... It's reflected now. They both mined about the same amount. It's just that Serral hasn't lost as much. And the units he's lost, like, he hasn't been losing too many lurkers. He hasn't been building Nidus worms, which cost gas each time. So he's just continuing to be effective. And any one of these attacks from Rogue could do deadly damage. Even the smaller ones. Like, if you let 4 lurkers and 6 hydras into your base, that can turn the game. It's not like he's just brushing these off. There's a lot of stuff that has to be done to make sure you're safe. Like, you can't necessarily have the lurkers too clumped up, or Blinding Cloud is a threat. You can't just send in units with no detection. Overseers have to be with each group of the army. You don't want to have your army all in one place, because what if he attacks a different place? He puts his more static defense in the lurkers on the left side. Oh, abducting Vipers, but the blinding cloud on all the lurkers. It's going to force... That was a great position for Rogue with the lurkers in the back, but Serral says no, not anymore. Put on your glasses, because blinding cloud is here. The Viper's going to the second hive. By the I just keep going on about that. This is kind of a weird scenario, but there's no detection for Rogue. Where are the Overseers? He's starting to, like, these attacks are doing less and less. Serral is just solidifying his position. He doesn't even need Abducts. He just kills them all. You can't just be losing 5 lurkers. You can't do that. Now Serral doesn't know for sure. It's important to know. We know that the gas bank Rogue has is so small, but Serral can't be 100. Like, Serral probably has a very good idea that he's been more cost-effective. He's mostly been the defender. He knows he's been using more cost-effective units. He's been keeping more Vipers alive. That happened. He saved the drone. This time, it doesn't take 9 drones to remove a lurker. But he doesn't know exactly, because there hasn't been a tell from Rogue yet. He's still sending groups of Hydras out. He still has a lot of bases to mine from. It's really hard, even at this level, it's really hard to gauge exactly where you are in terms of who's mined what, exactly how many lurkers and Vipers and things like that that are very gas-heavy have been lost. And as we go into this base, very important, as Rogue really desperate for gas, and the gas guys are just starting to mine out right now. Oh my god. What is he even doing? Building some Hydra. Well, another Viper coming in. Rogue desperate to defend at least part of this position, because he can't be giving... If he gives up another base, he essentially has no more gas mining. Because all the other bases are mostly mined out of gas. He's committed to a Roach counterattack. Serral will take the base, take a lot of the units, but is going to come back. You might be like, this is exactly the scenario where a lot of players would just be like, oh, I attack. I don't want to come back and defend this. That's way too far. But at the same time, oh my god, there were lurkers here, and I didn't mean to do that. Immersion ruined, but I really want to see how much damage. Serral left 4 lurkers here. That's it. Just for lurkers. I don't even know if he did it on purpose. But, oh, he did. He left the Overseers there as well. They kill so many of the Hydras. It looks like Overseers do come in, but so many Hydras going down when Rogue cannot afford it. Oh my god. And now this is... That was the breaking point. Up until this point, I don't think Serral has gotten a tell that Rogue is broke on gas. He's been sending all these expensive units, but he's starting to realize now. He's starting to know. Lock it down. Kill every single unit. Don't take a risk that he kills important tech or too many drones, because then maybe one bad fight with lurkers. Also, I want to talk about the Viper retention. I don't know exactly how many Vipers Serral has made this game, but I think he's kept almost all... I think he's only lost like 3 or 4 Vipers in these exchanges. And he's killed double-digit of Rogue. Once again, missing out on that unit's lost tab, unfortunately. But he's killed at least 10, 12 Vipers for the cost of just a handful. And the value they've been adding over time. Like, that's almost disrespectful right there. Serral. We both know that you shouldn't be abducting Hydras. You should be waiting for lurkers or getting blinding cloud. He's like, no. They're right there. Like, why can't I? And he has so many Vipers and so much energy. It's just the efficiency over time. Well, let's look at the unit slot. It's almost 50% more efficient. I'm sure people better than me at the numbers will... Yep. Oh, that's a... As soon as you see Zerglings, you know what unit counters lurkers the least? That was it. Honestly, drones might be better. They have more HP. But this is Rogue. This is Rogue's last gasp here. He's making Zerglings. He's broke. He needs to do damage. He needs to deny deny bases from Serral. He needs to do more than that, really. He still needs to fight the army and win somehow. But he's buying time with the Zerglings. Oh my god. The save... How did he even click on them? I didn't even see him click on them, but he morphs 2 lurkers and saves the Hydras, and then is like, no, I don't need to spend that. Goes back to Hydras. Lurkers bit off a little more than they could chew there. The Hives are good. Also, the Zerglings with +0 upgrades. Clawing with, like, plastic nails. Yeah, it's just the efficiency. Now, this is a little bit indicative of Korean Zerg versus Zerg. If you watch Zerg versus Zerg in Korea, a lot of it is constant trades. Constantly trying to find a way to attack. Serral has been... Now, he hasn't just been passive. Oh, my God. Disgusting blinding clouds. Perfect, almost, there. And Serral doesn't walk into him. But he's mostly content. And, of course, at this level of StarCraft, you can't just sit back and play passive. 98% of the time, that's a mistake. But he's willing to play the defender. He's willing to sit back. He's comfortable. He looks like he's born for it. He might have been, since he was born about a week before StarCraft came out. Fun fact. How does that make some of you feel? But yeah, just sitting back, playing defensive, and waiting for Rogue to essentially beat himself up. He keeps running in alert. Like, there was a lot of threat there, but that's it. He's done. He's out of it. Serral beating the BlizzCon world champion in the semifinals. And well, it didn't look easy. It didn't look particularly hard. And the thing I kept saying all during BlizzCon was, like, well, he's not the foreign hope. We've had a lot of foreign hopes. He's not that. He's the foreign favorite. And, well, that's why he's the best. Just, I want to go back to, where was it? There was a fight that Serral took.
Good. Now I have your attention.
Well, the fight outside this base when Rogue really had to defend. All the things when they were both at 500-600 APM. My voice is still gone from BlizzCon.
Now
but,
I have your attention.
Yeah, he's the best, but he did literally win the tournament. Oh my god. Replays. The technology isn't there for better replays.
Now I have your attention.
And a little bit before the fight. But this is when Rogue had to make it happen. Changelings. He's blocking Rogue in with Rogue is spending time. You're like, why is Serral's APM 600? He was microing Changelings to block the army. Look at this. Look at this. And it's spending time. It's keeping units locked in. Like, things like that. Changeling micro is a real part of these fights. And you'll see it. Rogue does some of it too, but that's where we are. Somehow he's getting Abducts against Vipers without them getting abducted back. The Blinding Cloud. He doesn't even have... Zerg is so easy, you can play with only 4 hotkeys and have 500 APM, right? But all the little details. Maybe I'll do more stuff that's a much more in-depth breakdown where we pause and say, like, exactly how does he control this fight? Like, how does he prioritize splitting his Hydras? What is he doing in his production? But I like to just watch the game through the eyes of someone. Well, I'm privileged to be able to watch the games. Okay? We all are. So Serral just dominating everyone, not even looking particularly close in any of his series, to be honest. Like, Dark, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't already obviously been spoiled. Dark 3-0, Rogue 3-1, stats 4-2. Not even close. Can you explain how SOS beat Maru?
Now I have your attention.
So we've told Terrence it was a mind trick. We told Terrence for the whole year that weak Terrence build in the main. And so obviously Protoss players and Zerg player, well, Protoss and Zerg, yeah, have been intentionally losing, right, against Proxy Rex. So they made them think it was so good. And then in BlizzCon, the long con, if you will, you could say Maru got BlizzCon. But he did lose to SOS in GSL Super Tournament, so that was part of it as well. Dark said Serral was the weakest of the three. Well, Dark had a lot of words, but Serral has more trophies.